Hey everybody, welcome back to the Game Tower, and today we're doing it. We're going on a journey to endeavor the seas. Now this is an unboxing, but it's also going to be an instructional. Nice UV coating. Um, so let's just get to it. This is amazing actually. This houses, not quite these, but you'll see them underneath the buildings. These are a Kickstarter stretch goal of, which is it? Chartered companies for each region. So, pretty cool. Once you understand the game, you'll understand why that's cool. Nice. It's embossed on there or vinyl. Nice sparkle to it though. It's fancy. And, oh, the pills are popped. And the extra special bits. These shields don't have much use in the game, actually, to be honest. Or no, they're your trackers. Are they? No, there must be an expansion. Sorry. That's why I don't recall them. Barely used them. I'm not sure what those are, but those kind of look like points or bases. Oh yes, those look like territories you can lay down. Keys. Interesting. Some expansion content I'm not familiar yet with. I've only played the game once. But the reason why this is an instructional is because this game has such sublime. This is once again the charter companies over here. But this game's rules are so sublime. It's just amazing. And so here's your exploits. Exploits are the expansions. Not gonna touch on them though. Just the main rules. Objective. These are the 5 different categories you'll build your engine in. How do you do that? Well, through a variety of means. As I was holding on to that big gray tray, that was for these buildings. So you'll build these buildings, and you'll notice they have levels here. 1, right? And then others that are 2, right? So you have to increase this track, your industry, in order to buy better buildings. You'll buy 1 building around, and that works as a counter as well. Oh, and for us Canadians and Francophone, here's the U that's missing on the box. For shame. It's not UV coated. For shame. Anyways, more token, although these are replaced with the nice wooden bits. So, wow, this thing's just falling out. That's the sign of a great punch board. Now witness the horror. This is the one ugly blemish on this game, but can't really blame them too much. Just can accuse them for using too thin of a material. These are your player boards. Okay. Yeah, it's not going to be pretty. But these are super thin. Let's see, camera's not quite focusing. Super duper thin. Like, here's that token that just got punched out. It's the same thickness. That's some craziness, okay? That's how super thin these are, which is kind of really cool as a feat of component design, but also kind of really terrible. And for how many tokens I stacked in these spots, especially this one I had maxed out in the game I played, this is way too tiny. I ended up stacking almost 10 of these in this spot, and it was just kind of ridiculous. And then here's the chrome though that you get with the Kickstarter, the nice crown. This is just a first player token though. That's what's sad about chrome. Sometimes it does absolutely nothing. Actually, a lot of the time. And here's the board, which we'll get to. These are them exploits I mentioned. Separate expansion. You play these and it adds a whole lot of themes, so like saltpeter stockpiles. Sorry, I should know that from Love and Feud them so much. That's terrible. But we, as I mentioned, won't get into these. And here's the disc. These are the ones. You see how thick these are? They're almost twice as thick as the board itself, which, seriously, compare that. That's ridiculous. So yeah, these do not fit in your slots. There's not enough space. And you can make a mess. But then you're not near the end of the board, so you don't really care that a mess is down there. However, here's all the nice bits. Let's give these the show and tell. Because this is what's actually really cool about the game. And the board. This is the one thing the boards do lovely. These are the extra keys. You saw the wooden keys earlier? Yeah. There's mini keys. Because so needed, right? But these suckers. This is not the industry, as I mentioned earlier, but it's your money resource, which really actually allows you to recall workers. So let's go through these 3 actions. This is a portion of the turn. But the main one up here is just increase the bricks. All it does is increase your ability to build buildings. That's why you see these dashes, right? 1 level building, 2 level, 3, 4, 5, okay? This one is how many workers you get per round. So you can spend them, you can cycle them back and forth between your buildings. Where's the buildings? Oh my goodness. You notice how this has stayed on here and not moved at all? That's the one thing that these boards do amazing. Oh, of course it flops for chance. But seriously, those fit perfectly well. The buildings, I don't know if you noticed them earlier, but it has these ridges, these scallops. So it's like the sea waves, of course, nicely thematic. But they fit nicely in there as well. These are just the cards for the different areas. Which these cards actually go in along here. You have to have influence in the area equal to the number on the card in order to take it over by a shipping action. Or take it from an area, sorry. Point scoring, which didn't totally need, but I did score up to 69. Your math skills may vary. Here also is the shield. So yeah, these little minis are great. But let's get back to the gameplay. This is how many cards you can hold, the shields. That's why I went for the shields, because I knew this was the engine, because the cards give you the resources to increase your ratings, right? It's just cyclical. It was kind of beautiful. And then the buildings are your worker placement spot. So let's go grab those for a sec. So as you see, that was lovely. So as you see here, this is a worker placement spot just to ship. It's a level 1 building, it's the market, right? Basic what you get. Other ones are just resources, right? This allows you to build more. Okay. This is some funky art that throws me off when it's on the print. That's kind of trippy. But anyways, this is a resource of culture. Culture is what gives you more people. And this is a worker placement spot for placing your influence out on the board, setting sail, so to speak. So you have to have 2 discs for that action, whereas the shipping action, you only have to have 1 disc. You put 1 disc on here, you take the card. With the shipping action, you put a disc on here, and then you put a disc somewhere on the board, such as all of these circle spots. This is the symbol for points. If you place in adjacent spots, you chain, and so you get the benefit of what's there. First person to get it gets a disc, like I showed you down here. And then they can be taken over because you can take an action that's not on this punch board. And is over here at the barricades. So that's a combat action. That action you have to spend 3 tokens normally. So 1 for here, 1 for casualties, and 3 to take over the area that your opponent has captured. So if your opponent has this chain and you want to combat them at one of them, that's what you got to do. Costs you 3 discs. However, there are actions to make it cheaper. And so this card over here, or this building box, you get to do a shipping action and shoot, that's the influence action? Sorry. Let's go back to the book. Which, it's really sad that there's no summaries of these actions, but there's a nice summary right here. Right, gameplay, the construction phase, so you build your building. Second phase is the growth phase, right? So you're going through these 4 stat columns in order. Sorry about the glare. Right? So you're going through those different stat columns in order as different actions. So build the building, get your workers, return your workers, take your actions. Okay? And then after you take your actions, you discard your cards. Right? So once again, let's go to the actions. Here's an explanation on all of them. It's quite nicely done. Action phase, take an action, ship, as I mentioned. It's pretty straightforward. You can ship to locations to gain influence. So that's what it's showing there up close. So you place it on those tracks in order to open up an area until the track is completely filled out, like this one. These 4 spots, and you start obviously at the arrow. There'll be a disc on each spot as well, so you get goods out of it, or engine. But as soon as it's fulfilled, then you can start placing in these areas. This is just open influence because whoever has or you have to have a specific influence in an area to get the cards that once again build your engine as well. This game's so beautifully cyclical, it's just phenomenal. And as you can tell, the production is top-notch, although, I mean, these boards are both amazing, but frightening at the same time, to be honest. I'm shocked they're so thin, but they work quite well. Let's actually get a couple buildings in here so you can see. And there's slot in. Of course, you'd have the 3s after the 1s and 2s, but they're your timer for the game as well, right? After you build a 7th building, that'll be the last round of the game, and it sails along smoothly. And that's why Endeavor is just an amazing, great new game. Well, great revision of an old game that unfortunately got maligned. Diatribe into the politics too much, but slavery was handled in a way that upset people, which is unfortunate that people just choose to be upset. But in this version, I'll show you all the deck of cards now. So these are the different regions, France, right? So you have to have 1, then 3, then 4 influence in order to take these cards, right? As you see, they get more and more, and they can have points on them as well. But here you start off 2 money, and you get a guy for free, so you get like extra workers in the middle of a round. That's so cool to grab, especially at the start of the game, right? And then, yeah, Far East. They're all geared kind of to one type of resource or a couple types of resource. Like this one, North America is all about the culture. And South America, huge. Look at that, just culture galore. That's how you get lots of workers. Get your culture. But the cool thing is you can get it from other ways. So see here see that this is Europe, and it begins with 0. So someone can always take the first one. But then you need influence in Europe, and Europe doesn't have a track, it just has area. So you just start off with area control, which teaches you, hey, this game's about area control. Although some people get lost in the engine building, which was kind of funny to observe. But as you add more tokens to the board, you get more influence, so you can buy the better cards. But only 1 card per person. Here's the slavery. You'll notice I skipped something. Here's the slavery. These are general. What's the term again? You rule a region. When it comes to fulfilling that track, whoever has the majority on that track gets the senator or something like that. I forget the title. I think it starts with a G though. Anyways, here's the slavery cards though. They don't count for much influence. They start in Europe, but they give you a huge boon, right? You can build awesome buildings. You can return workers. This is actually almost more powerful than culture, okay? Which is, it's really strange, but it's a great mechanic because, remember, no, let's just let them all. So remember, you get more workers, but you return workers. You need to be able to return the workers to get them off of your worker spots. Like these ones that I showed you, right? Once you place a worker on here, it stays here unless you're able to take it off. So you do got to build a balanced engine, which makes this game just awesome. I've used the term sublime regarding it, and that couldn't be more precise. But as you saw, slavery is easy, free benefits that really help your engine. But there's this card in the Europe deck. And if this card gets drawn, slavery gets abolished, and whoever has these cards will have to pull them off of their board, right? So they'll be part of their engine here on their player board. You'll have to pull them off, and they'll cost you a negative point at the end of the game. So, great mechanisms, way to kind of cover slavery in a tasteful manner, but beautifully sublime. Very straightforward. Quite easy to learn. Apologies. Quite easy to learn, and it plays beautifully because it is a type of point salad, and you can't ignore the area control in this game. That's the one thing that I found people kind of let go, is they didn't think about the area control enough, and that's where I scored all my points. And yeah, this game's great. I can't wait to try the exploits. I hope you enjoy. Peace. I'm out. If it'll let me. I'm trapped. Let it go. No. Why? Wow, it seriously won't quit. Yes, I do want to cancel. Thank you.